Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with a quick update on the markets. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Alright, so we're going to get started on Bitcoin. Here we are on the 4-hour, and like we were basically spelling out in the last video, we've been selling off. We're in a bearish downtrend, and we are currently in a bullish retracement of the bearish trend. It's an internal retracement, which means the retracement is inside of the previous move, so the predominant trend is still in full effect. So we are currently selling off. We have been selling off, and we're going to continue selling off. This was essentially a dead cat bounce, an attempt for whales or market makers to move the price back up to unload their positions. Once the distribution has taken place, we got marked down just like we spoke about. So we were operating inside of this channel right here. We came down to the channel, broke out to the bottom, invalidated the potential 5-wave structure to the upside, verifying basically that we are in fact in an A, B, and now we're going to put in the C of the retracement. At this point in time, I would expect essentially the retracement to continue coming down. We could potentially get a pushback up here off of the 618 of the move here from the bottom to the top. That would basically take us back up to test the breakdown like channel right here, at which point in time I would expect potentially you could actually move this just slightly a little more like that. And what I would expect essentially is a retest of this breakdown. So if we came all the way down to the 618 here in green, we could get 1-2 bounces back up to the 382, or potentially 3 all the way back up to the 236, at which point in time I would expect this to act as resistance and then us to sell back off again. That would correspond with the larger fib from the absolute top of this move way back up here. The top back up here at 12,500 basically, all the way down to the sell-off down here at 9,800, and then that would be our move back up to the 0.5 where we got rejected. Sell back off to the 236. That's 2 fib levels down. We would bounce back up 1 fib level to that 10,775, 10,800 range. A retest, find that as resistance, and then get continuation to the downside. Now, alternatively, we could possibly find support here and then continue to the upside. But again, I think that's much less likely at this point in time. What I would be looking for before I would enter a long position out of this area is I'd be looking for some divergence in the indicator oscillators. As you can see here, the knife put in a low right here and then put in a substantially lower low, as did price action. So that's just convergence within the oscillator. We got our moving average crosses to the downside. The TJD TD MACD flipped back to red through this area, and price action tried to come back up on the histogram, got rejected on this prior move right here, and then we continue to sell back off, which is what you would expect. You can see based on moving average crosses, the 8 and the 21 crossed back here. We got the massive sell-off, failed to find support on the 377 or the 528. We're now coming back up to retest it. Now we could potentially come back up here and get rejected again at that 10.5 range and then get continuation to the downside. It's definitely a possibility. We have to pay attention to the market here and see what it's telling us. But our distribution took place through here. The accumulation of the assets that we distributed back here took place right here. So you buy, sell up in here, buy back down here, sell back in here, and now we can let the market tell us what's going to happen. So if we come down here and find support and start moving back up, that would be a higher low, at which point in time we would expect continuation back up to the targets. But at this point in time, it looks like to me we've broken structure and we will get continued moves to the downside. Now I'm going to flip over to the daily here, and then we can check out some other assets as well. We got the hard buy on the daily through this range, accumulation zone, histogram moving up, and now here the histogram is reaching the slope line, which is where we're getting denied at the same spot as that 55 moving average, which we said a few videos back we were expecting to move back off of the 200 back to the 55, likely would fall short, and then we would finally get the move back down here to the 200 again to attempt to test this and also test the 200. We could potentially come all the way down to the 200 simple as well, which is going to put us down here in that 9,200 range, which is our overall target for this move. Now, if we did come back down here and find support on the 200 exponential and then consolidate and get a move back up, or violently got bought back up and then we saw positive action, of course it's possible that we could continue to the upside, but we have to basically cross that river when we come to it. At this point in time, we are overall in a temporary downtrend from the uptrend push up right here, and then overall on top of that, we're in a downtrend as well. We had this high back here, and then we put in a low, and now we are putting in a lower high. So if we fail to get up any higher here, what I would expect to happen is we sell back off, and then we'll have to see, do we put in a higher low or do we put in a lower low? So at this point in time, we could find support anywhere as low as like that 4,200 range right here, or anywhere in between. But what I would expect is a retest of the bottom area down in here, and potentially a tightening of the range. So, we could get back down to $4,000, $5,000 here very quickly, if the situation should allow it. So, but again, we're going to have many steps and many movements along the way. There's no reason to just assume right now we're going down to $5,000. Now here on the weekly, you will notice that we got from the distribution zone the hard sell signal, which is one of the most reliable signals in crypto. It does not mean we can't come back up and retest the highs, but the last time we got that sell signal, we came down, retested, failed, and then got continuation, and we went all the way from that 13,700 range down here, all the way down to 3,800. So we went from 13,000 to 3,000. So that's a $10,000 move to the downside. So obviously we're not going to get a $10,000 move from here because that would put us at zero. But if we basically came down now from 12,000 and lost like essentially 75% of our value, that's going to put us in like the $3,000 to $4,000 range again. Now we did put in a low here and then a higher low here. So is it likely that we could find support on the weekly? For a third time? We found it here. We found it here. Could we find it again here? Yeah, of course. So that would put us closer to like the $7,000 range. I think that's a much more realistic target. And, we'll have to play it again on price action as we get there. We did cross the blue back over on the TJD TD MACD, but the histogram is selling off down to it. So what we need to pay attention to is when we get down to it, do we find support and get a move back up? Can we sustain it and stay above it and keep it blue and get continuation? Or are we going to sell down under it, attempt to cross it back up, get rejected, and then get our final sell off? So, but again, we have plenty of time to watch and wait for that to happen as well. So, but at this point in time, we're doing exactly what we were expecting, from our video way back in here: accumulation, distribution, and then, obviously we'll have to see where price action leads us from here. Now let's switch over to a couple of the other assets. Chainlink came down and hit our next target and is now selling off towards the 200, which was our next target, was actually I think $8.60. So we hit that. I would expect to find some support and attempted bounce back up and retest to the 89 at like 1060. But at this point in time, it's just as likely that we're going to come down to the 200s at $8 or 660. It's very important to remember we got this massive move up all the way from down here at the bottom. We were a buyer of Chainlink in the like $2 range in here. So, it's not unrealistic to think we're going to give up the majority of that move and come down here violently. So everybody is like ridiculously bullish on Chainlink and keeps trying to like attempt to get back into it at a cheaper price. At this point in time, I would wait because it's very likely that we're going to end up down here at this like $4 range, $5 range, or best case scenario, $7.50. BNB next. We almost immediately after making the last video put in this topping candle, and then essentially like that was very clear that we were at the top of the trend and we're getting ready to violently sell off. If you were doing like we said and you just put your stop loss at the bottom of the previous candle, you were out at 28.35, so you're already up 20% on that short or being out of that long position. We came down almost immediately and hit our first target at 24.75 from the last video analysis we did on it, and then we found support here at that 23.60 range, but obviously the 89 was the target, and then finally we're looking to come down here to the 200 at 1978 on BNB. It is definitely possible we find support here and get a retest. But at this point in time, we're getting ready to cross the 8 and 21 to the downside, which point in time I would expect continuation. The previous retest was of the 200 exponential. I would not see any reason why we can't come down and retest the 200 simple or the 200 exponential again. So that's going to put us at like $18 to 1975. Everybody is hyped up about Uniswap, wants to know some TA on this. Basically where we're at now, there was potential support here at that like low $4 range. The next potential support I would say is going to be right here at that $3.43 range. So that would be our next target. We have crossed the 8 and 21 to the downside on the 4 hour. We have to use a short time frame on this chart just because there's no data. But in the event that we do make it down here to like $2.83, if we do not find permanent support there, we are in big trouble because there's no support after that. This is a 4 hour candle, and this is like the longest exchange that I could find any data on. And we came up from 15 cents. So if it was worth 15 cents and it shot up and our next support point was at $2.86, if we break through $2.86, I don't see any reason why we couldn't just as easily come back down here to like 30 cents. So this one could get absolutely wrecked. And again, fundamentally, if you give away a bunch of a product to people and all of a sudden it's worth something, and then there's potential that it's not going to be worth something in the future, everybody is going to just try to dump that as quickly as possible and buy something that has actual value and maintains it, or a store of value. So but anyway, that's it for Uniswap. Matter of fact, I will switch down to the hourly and see if there's like any better support that we could use. And there's not. It's just one giant candle up. So yeah, there's nothing we can even use. There's absolutely no useful data here. Once again, 30 cents or $2.46 is pretty much all you can use. So and then as far as Dixie, everybody wants to fight with me and argue with me about how the dollar is not going to be bullish and how it's going to sell off and there's hyperinflation, and everybody wants to argue, but I'm just telling you what the charts say, not to mention my own fundamental analysis. As all the currencies around the world weaken, the dollar is the reserve currency. So it's essentially the Bitcoin of the world in the sense that altcoins, all the money flows back into Bitcoin. Well, the same way when all these shitcoin dollars start dumping, everybody takes basically a flight to safety into the American USD. And that's exactly what's happening now. We put in a very clear bottoming pattern. We are basically crossing back up to the upside, the 8 and 21. We've already retested the 55. Here we are at the 50, 55. And the next thing to do is to retest the breakdown from our diagonal green line here. And then I'll see you at the 89, which is going to put us at 94.80. I do expect continuation. We essentially got the bounce, came down, found support, and now I would expect a violent and strong move to the upside, especially as the traditional stock market sells off as well. Gold, we did get the breakdown of the descending triangle that we were looking at here. It came down to the 50 and then almost made it down to the 89, but did get bought back up and find support here. I would expect essentially another consolidation phase through here. The measure move could take us as low as 1866, but once again, fundamentally, I would expect this to continue getting bought back up. We saw a violent sell-off down here, got bought up. We could see another violent sell-off down here, get bought up, or consolidation before the move. Same exact thing with silver. It is slightly more volatile, but all we did was just come down here and retest the bottom of the range, put in a nice bullish wick there. If we start to close down here, we could get the move back down to $23. But I would look at that as a buying opportunity. And based on the knife right here, based on the histogram getting ready to cross over to the zero, we could see continuation on the daily. But at this point in time, I would not expect it. If we switch over to like the weekly chart here, basically I would expect the target to just be that 22.80 range if we continue to sell off. But we could just as likely get bought back up to like $25. I would expect people to essentially like paper trade, see the markets move, but I don't really expect the actual like physical silver and gold markets to move nearly as much. Now, if we just flip over to Cardano, I know people got really mad. I got extra dislikes about my Cardano comment and everything. I do want to just remind everyone, this is Cardano's chart for its lifetime. It basically started off in this like 30-cent range for a long time. I'm sorry, 2 or 3 cent range for a long time. It shot all the way up and made it to an all-time high up here of over $1, I think it was, right around $1. Yeah, over $1. Now, people got extremely bullish when we made it back up here to 16 cents, and everybody was talking about how their bags are packed for the moon shots, rocket ships. They loaded up their bags. Well, you loaded up your bags to go down to zero, because this is the chart of a dead asset, a dying asset, a dead heartbeat. This is one of probably the worst charts in crypto. It has one of the worst people in crypto behind it. Charles Hoskinson is an absolute scammer. He is totally full of it. For someone who runs a decentralized open source project that talks about all this stuff about how it's the future and how it's going to dethrone Ethereum and take over the space, the man is a total fraud. He took bailout money from the United States government. So a decentralized project took money from the United States government. So that's how decentralized it is, that they needed a bailout from the government to continue operating. And if they didn't need it, they're even more of a scammer for doing that. So, and essentially he probably just took that money, pumped up his bags right here, and then distributed all over your guys' faces. So if you are holding Cardano, you might as well just hold it down to zero at this point in time, or sell as soon as possible. Whatever you want to do. But the fact of the matter is, look at how much volume was traded all through this range when there was massive price movements and it was up over $1. And now look at the volume through here. The volume is increasing as the trend goes down. So you have increasing volume as the trend goes down. That is literally massive amounts of distribution taking place. So for what it's going to take to ever find support and move back up to the upside, I'm pretty sure that's not going to be happening anytime soon. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would not even begin to start getting bullish on Cardano until you get back up to like 36 cents. So until you reach 36 cents, to me, this is a dead heartbeat, a dead project. It is an absolute scam, and it's the best way to waste your money. You might as well go out and buy a well, I can't even think of anything that would be a worse investment. You could buy someone's old expired lottery tickets from them that you know didn't already win. I think that's probably the best bet. I know people don't want to hear it, but I don't come on here to make you feel good about yourself and about your like horrible purchases. Everybody buys stupid stuff. We all have shirts in our closet that we rip the tags off and never even worn. That's basically what Cardano is. It's an asset that you purchased thinking that it was something that it was not, and you're never going to use it for anything. It's never going to be worth anything, and the worst part is you rip the label off so you can't even return it. So there we have our assets for the day. American stock markets, I don't need to tell you, have been selling off violently. We saw all this coming. I have been telling you guys about all this for some time now. It's very obvious what's happening. I'm just reading to you what the charts say. I do like to put my opinion in it, but it's because I actually know what I'm talking about. And when I talk about like the fundamentals and stuff of things like the dollar, I'm talking about it for a specific reason. When I tell you guys I'm distributing through the top of a range, it's because the price is getting ready to dump. When I tell you that I have the largest dollar holdings that I've had in a long time, if not ever, it's because I'm trying to let you guys know that the dollar is getting ready to take off. When I tell you about this bottoming pattern, when I tell you about the moves coming up here, I'm not telling it to you because I like to be right. I'm telling it to you because I want you also to benefit from this technical analysis. It's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research and trade responsibly, but just make sure that you know who you're listening to, where you're getting your information from, because as you may have noticed over this last week or two in Bitcoin, everyone has been talking about how Bitcoin was getting ready to go to the moon, how we're getting ready to explode, how we're getting ready to go up, all this stuff. I just want to remind you very quickly, while everyone is getting very bullish, this is the CME chart. This is when CME's open. We have never put in a higher high since then. We have only put in lower highs. We were at $20,000. CME's opened and we went down to $3,000. We got to bounce back up to $14,000. And then we sold back off to $4,000. And then we came back up to $12,470. On CMEs, on the monthly, we never put in a higher high. We faked out on spot on the monthly. We faked out on spot on the weekly. But CMEs spoke the truth the entire time, just like I did. Our high, our lower high, and once again, a lower high. So when we take out this parabolic saw right here and we begin to sell off, what's going to happen? We're going to get another one of these. We're going to get a massive red candle on the weekly, a massive dump, a massive sell-off. The same thing that happens when you take this out. We go into a long trending trade to the downside. We go into a long trending trade to the downside. We are getting ready right now to enter a long trending trade to the downside. So get ready for that. Please be prepared. In the event that we do find support down here at that 10,000 range, 9,900, by all means, I will get back on here and I will let you know. I will warn you. I will tell you I'm wrong. But as of now, we are getting distribution zone, hard sell signal. Distribution zone, hard sell signal. This is by far the most reliable sell signal that you can get. We have multiple red histograms in a row. Multiple red histograms in a row. Even if we get a bounce back up here like this, a big green candle coming back up, what's it going to take us back up to? Probably like the $11,600 range, at which point in time people like me will be dumping in massive shorts, waiting for the perfect opportunity to capture this huge move that is coming to the downside. And if we want to get on here and draw the chart out, we can look and see everybody was very bullish right here because we were able to break back above that diagonal. But once again, all this shows is that the trend is weakening to the downside, but it is still a trend to the downside. And that is very important that we pay attention to that, keep that in mind, and understand exactly what that means and exactly what that's going to mean in the future. So we can basically say this is what we're looking at. A giant triangle to the downside, or consolidation, however you want to look at it. But the fact of the matter is, the most likely target next is the bottom of the range down here, which is like $7,000. And we could easily get a wick down here, easily down into the $4,000, $5,000 range. So be prepared for it. I don't want to be a doom and gloomer all the time, but I just want you guys to realize and remember and stay the course and stay understanding that, we are still in a massive downtrend. The markets are extremely unstable right now and very, very much inflated. And also the economy is in the worst shape it has ever been, not just specific countries, but the entire world economy. Everything is literally falling apart. They have done absolutely nothing to fix the epidemic. They've done nothing to help the pandemic. People have relaxed their views, and now here we are going into the winter when this is the most dangerous for something that is extremely dangerous, and people are letting their views and their ideas be tainted by what they want to happen. Everybody wants to be wishful. Everybody wants us all to just go away and go back to normal, but the truth is the world has changed. Everything is going to change, and the best thing to do right now is to protect yourself, protect your family, and protect your wealth. And the best way to do that is by not being overextended, paying off debts that you have with high levels of interest, and keeping extra cash, gold, silver, things that are very valuable and will retain their value in time. Because if you're in a country other than the United States, your currency may be even more volatile. If you're in the United States, obviously with everything going on, things could get crazy with the election coming up. No matter who wins, I think there will be a crazy uproar and people trying to fight and say it's not true, especially with mail-in voting. And we're not even going to find out for days, weeks afterwards. And not to mention that just like whenever this has happened in a similar way in the past, people will announce that they've won, people will announce that they are the winner, and then people will obviously say that there was collusion, or that there was faking, or that there was miscounts, or that there was all different stuff. No one's going to want to accept the absolute truth. when it happens. So regardless of who wins, people will be fighting the other way, saying that it was not true, it was not legitimate, it was not fair, etc. And considering the amount of basically just issues in general going on right now throughout the world and throughout the United States, and now the pandemic raging again back in Europe, I would expect, honestly, just more of the same, if not worse. So please protect yourself. Please take care of yourself and your family and make intelligent decisions. Do your own research. But when I say research, I don't mean just listen to random people that tell you what you want to hear. I mean actual research from people that are looking at the entire world scope of things, not just your local scope, not just the asset that you like, not just the cult members that you have joined. Pay attention to what's really going on and make intelligent decisions right now, because those decisions are going to determine your outcome for the next 10, 20, even 30 years. So there we have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm out of here.